Hello everyone, I hope that you're doing well. Today I'm going to run through this CSEC biology past paper. It is a paper 1 from June 2018. I'm going to run through this as quickly as possible because I realize that some of these questions are repeat questions. But I also want to remind you that before you start the examination, you should read through the instructions carefully. And if you should have any questions or queries, please clarify them before you begin the examination. All right, so let's jump into question number 1. And question number 1 reads that which of the following features is used to classify a group of organisms as class insecta? And this is a very popular question, and the answer here is the number of segments. All right, for question number 2, is which of the following sampling methods is most suitable for estimating the density of mushrooms in a garden? And that is a quadrat. And please remember that quadrat is used to estimate the population size of slow-moving or immotile organisms. Now, question number 3 is living organisms such as plants are affected by abiotic factors, which determine where they become established. Which of the following options list some of these determining factors? And again, this is a very popular question, and so this answer is B: sunlight availability, soil pH, and minerals. All right, that question, I think that questions repeat at least 4 or 5 times. All right, so question number 4. And this is also a repeat question. This paper is packed with repeat questions, but it's nice to just make a quick run through. So item 4 to 5 refer to the following food web. And it said how many food chains are there in this food web shown above. And let me just quickly run through. From the plants iguana to the ocelot, that's 1. From the plants squirrel ocelot, that's another 1. And it can go from the plants, squirrel, auk, that's another 1. And so there are 3 single food chains, or total food chains. All right, so number 5. And number 5, it said, which of the following statements describe the relationship where the ocelot eats the iguana and the iguana eats the plants? All right, and so this one, I have an asterisk at B. I'm going to tell you why. Let me just tell you what the answer is first. The answer is ocelot is the predator, while the iguana is the prey. However, though, if you move up to higher level biology, you're going to realize that B is also a suitable answer because both ocelot and the iguana are actually predators. They can be predators because you have a term that is called herbivory predators. And so animals that eat plant as well can classify as predators because it's eating relationship. All right, so whatever is eating something, that is a predator, and the prey is being eaten. However, for CSEC level, though, all right, a predator is simply classified as an animal that hunts, kill, and eat. All right, so that's a basic term for a predator. So NC is the best option. All right, and so let's jump to the next question. And we are at question number 6, I think. Yep. All right, so for question number 6, all right, and let's go back a little bit up top for you to see this diagram. And so item 6 refers to the following food web, and this is a very popular diagram as well. And so you can study the food web carefully. It's a trophic level 1 represented by which one of these? And this is the phytoplankton. Phyto refers to the planktons that photosynthesize. So they are plant-like. And we have zooplankton, and those are animal-like. As a matter of fact, there's no guessing with this one because you notice that the phytoplankton starts the food web. All right, so definitely it is A. And so phytoplanktons are producer, zooplanktons, they are consumers. Now for question number 7, it's approximately 10% of the energy stored in food is available to the next organism in a food chain because of what? And the answer here, again, this is, well, not the exact question, but a similar question like this before. It said most of the energy is lost as heat during the process of respiration. I think the question they had before was talking about respiration and excretion. So there's a slight adjustment, but yeah, it's a repeat question in a sense. All right, and so question number 8 is which of the following materials is considered to be non-biodegradable? And right off the bat, sardine cans. All right. Question number 9 now. All right, so let's slide over a little bit. Question number 9, it reads that which of the following statements best explains why the coral reefs in the Caribbean are at risk? And I like A because it said there has been overfishing of the seas. And this is indirect because it says seas. It's not even specific. All right, so it's not talking about near the reef or whatever it is. But of course, overfishing in general can affect the coral reef in terms of its biodiversity. But D is the most suitable answer because it said there has been an increase in the volume of sewage flowing into the reefs. And this is a direct effect. So D is the best answer. And of course, you should know that sewage will lead to what they call eutrophication. And eutrophication, you would have excess growth of algae that will also increase bacteria and also lack of oxygen for the organisms as well, decrease food sources. A matter of fact, it's even black sunlight from going in. So those algae that are present within the corals, they will be suffer. They suffer in terms of unable to produce, and the coral will bleach. And remember that those algae that are present in corals, they are called zooxanthellae. All right, so number 10. It said, replanting trees on a bare hillside is an example of what? And this is a repeat question as well. So it is afforestation and also restoration. All right. And just to make a note that afforestation is planting trees where there are no trees before. All right. But conservation would not be the correct one right here because conserve is actually preserving what was already there. All right. So D is incorrect because of the word conservation. All right. So sliding down to question number 11. And question number 11, this is talking about here graph of population growth. And so you have number of organism on the Y, time on the X, and this is also familiar. And it states that phase 4 of the graph of population growth is most likely due to what? And this is competition and also from invasive species. So yes, it's a repeat question. So number 11 is D. Number 12 is when compared to cheek cell, a muscle cell contains more what? And that is mitochondria because muscle cells work more and so therefore they need more energy and hence C is correct. Again, this is a repeat question. This paper is loaded with repeats. All right. And so item 13 refers to the following diagrams. We show a process by which substances are moved into and out of cells. And I just want to point out real quick, again, this is a repeat. And so if you notice, the dilute sugar solution is on the right of the diagram and the concentrated sugar solution is on the left. So eventually water will move. So let's make a note right here. Water will move from this side to this side, right? So water is going in. All right. So remember that water moves from with a high water concentration to low water concentration. In other words, move from a dilute to a concentrated solution. All right. And so the question now asks which of the following options correctly identifies and describes the process occurring above. And the process there is osmosis because water is moving and it moved from a dilute to concentrated solution. So D, not D, C is the correct option. All right. Again, this is a repeat question. Number 14, which of the following functions is not correctly matched to its organelle? And here is protein synthesis with chloroplasts. Ribosomes, they will synthesize proteins, all right? So B is correct. So I'm not wasting time with this paper. This paper is relatively easy, but also a lot of repeats. Number 15, a mature plant cell is different from a mature animal cell because the plant cell has a large permanent vacuole because plant cells, they have a large centrally located vacuole and it's really large compared to animal cells. Animal cells only have small ones and there are many of them, and a matter of fact vacuoles in animal cells can be temporary as well, just to make a mention of that. Now number 16, which of the following graphs show the effects of temperature on an enzyme control reaction? And I'm going to slide on to the correct graph right here. Those graph A, B, and C, they are really foolishness. D is nice because, of course, at low temperature, enzymatic activities are actually low because the enzymes are inactive. And then as temperature increases, the enzymes become more active to where you have normal body temperature, which is somewhere about 32, 38. Anywhere there is fine. And then after that, the enzymes start to denature. So enzymatic activity decrease. All right. And so D is our answer. All right. Let's jump into question number 17 now. Number 17. And this one reads that an enzyme is best defined as a catalyst, which does what? And it's increase the rate of chemical reaction, but remains unchanged at the end of the reaction. And for that reason, we said enzymes are reusable. All right. So they are biological catalysts because they work in living organisms, and they are reusable. So please note the properties of enzymes, and I also have a lesson with all the properties of enzymes, explaining them, so you can run through that one if you have time. Number 18, which of the following features does not enhance a leaf's ability to absorb solar energy? And the presence of vascular bundle is the correct answer, because vascular bundle transport the plant food, which is the phloem, and transport water and mineral salts, which is the xylem vessel. For question number 19, it's a reference to the following diagram, which represents a metabolic process occurring in plants. And just to make a note and point this out, you have the light going in, water going in, carbon dioxide going in, and then coming out, you have a plant food, which would be glucose. And so definitely this is photosynthesis process taking place. And so the food nutrient that is produced right here is glucose. All right. Number 20. For number 20, it said, which of the following organisms is a saprophyte? And a saprophyte here is the bread mold. All right, so let's go to the next question. Question number 21. And question number 21 refers to this graph. And you have rate of photosynthesis on the Y, then you have light intensity on the X. And it said, now, which of the following statement best accounts for the shape of the graph of light intensity versus rate of photosynthesis? And this is a repeat question as well. And so the answer here is that light intensity increases. As light intensity increases, there is an increase in the rate of photosynthesis until there is no further increase in the rate due to some other limiting factor. All right, so C is the correct answer for that. So again, you can just pause and go through the other options to see why they're incorrect. And if you disagree with them, there's no problem in you letting me know. All right, because of course, we can have a discussion on that, whether you are correct or not. All right, and so there's no judgment if you're correct or not at all. That's no problem. We're learning, eh? All right, item number 22 refers to the following diagram of the respiratory system, showing structures in the respiratory system. And this one now asks, which of the labeled parts represents a rib? And again, a repeat question, so right off the bat, that is part 2 of the diagram. Now, for question number 23, it said, which of the following conditions is an effect of the nicotine found in cigarette smoke? Again, I showed this a repeat question as well. And this one is the increase in the rate of the heart. All right, and so option A is correct. All right. Just to make a note here, because I've seen this again, as I say, is a repeat. The beating of the cilia will be because of a tar from the cigarette smoking. Reduction in oxygen will be because of the carbon monoxide. All right. And mucus is also because of tar built up as well. All right. So let's slide on to the next question. Again, I'm saying I'm not going to waste too much time with especially the questions that we know are definite repeat questions. And so question number 24 now, it said that the steps listed below are involved in the clotting of blood. And it said, which of the following sequences is the correct order of the steps? And I just want to point out that the last thing that happened in blood clotting is that fibrinogen is converted to fibrin. And I just want to know that all the processes, matter of fact, I say processes, all the substances that are involved in blood clotting, they are proteins. All right, I also have a blood clotting lesson, so you can check that out. And so fibrin is the last thing that is produced. So the first thing must happen though is that the blood vessels are damaged, and that's what will indicate what they call the blood clotting factors. So again, you can run through that lesson, the blood clotting lesson, and you'll see my explanation in terms of what is the steps that take place within the blood clotting mechanism. Now, for number 25, it said, what is the main storage product of plants? And that is starch. I don't need to go any further with that. Cellulose is used to make structures, okay? Glucose is produced, sucrose is being transported, starch is stored, and cellulose used to make structures, all right? So let's jump to question number 26. As I promised, I just want to run through this real quick. The question number 26 is, which of the following options correctly matches the gaseous exchange structures with the organism? And of course, a human being, just look through, that must be alveoli, right? So it must be between B and C. But if we go over here now, it said for fish, it's really the gill filaments, all right? And then for plants, it would be leaves generally. But however, no, large leaves is better than young leaves, right? And so definitely B will be our take right there. Number 27, it said, why is it difficult to develop a vaccine for a common cold. And notice that even if I catch cold one time, I'm going to catch it again, because simply is that the antigen keep changing. So it's is a mutation, a matter of fact, right? So the common cold, the antigen keep changing. And so C is the correct answer. All right. Now for 28, they said which of the following options best identifies some of the transport substances in animals, and amino acids is being transported. Hormones are also being transported, but sucrose is being transported in plants, which I mentioned in a previous question. So yeah, so 1 and 2 definitely. Sucrose don't transport in animals, right? Glucose is the sugar that is being transported in animals. Now, for question number 29, it says an amoeba obtains all the oxygen it needs by diffusion via its cell membrane, while a human needs to have special respiratory surfaces for this purpose. It said the best reason for this difference is that, and this again is a repeat question, so I go straight to the answer. A human surface area to volume ratio is too small for diffusion to be effective. All right, and so yes, for 29, that is D. Let's see what 30 is talking about. Now 30, it said translocation, and as notice, this is sweet. It's a translocation of sucrose in plants occurs via specialized vessels. And before I go to the answer, notice I said the translocation, transport of sucrose. Sucrose is being transported in plants, all right? So that's something you didn't look out for. So the answer here is C. I'm going to tell you why C, because once you talk about the phloem vessels, they contain sieve plate, and sieve plates, they contain sieve pores. All right, so we're going to work with C as the correct answer right there. All right, and that is one distinction between the xylem and phloem. Beside the xylem is dead, xylem is dead, phloem is living, and the difference is because you have sieve plate, sieve pores, and all of that. Many structures are there for the phloem. Again, I have a lesson called Transport in Plants, and I explain the difference between xylem and phloem, which nice diagrams are there too. So yeah, check those out. Yeah, no hesitation. All right, 31. For question number 31, we say, under which conditions will the rate of transpiration in plants be highest? And this when you have high sunny, that means it's hot. And you have bright light as well, the stomach will be open, and you have high wind as well. So definitely wind will take away the water from the leaf surface. So B is correct. I think this is repeat as well. This paper is loaded with repeat questions. Anyway, just for extra practice. Now for question number 32, it said persons who suffer from kidney disease are most likely to have what? And here will be an increase in concentration of urea in the blood, because remember the kidneys are used to filter the blood and remove waste substances such as urea, excess salt, and excess water as well, right? So 32D. All right, for 33, let's go to 33 now, and where this guy is now, 33. All right, here we go. For number 33, so locomotion is important to animals for what? And locomotion, remember, is movement from one place to another. And so definitely, this is a repeat because I just did it in did this question in a paper not too long ago. I think it was yesterday. All right, so here it said acquiring food and shelter good, avoiding predators definitely. For reproduction, not necessarily. All right, and it said in animals. All right, so we're gonna work with oh Lord of mercy. I said reproduction, no. For animals need to move to reproduce. They don't stand up one place. All right, so definitely we're gonna work with all of them. Yeah, so D gonna be a correct option right here, because they have to move to reproduce. If they find mate, definitely move from one place to another to find mate. They don't stay one place and mate necessarily come to them. Well, some organisms stay one place and the mate will come to them though. But movement is important for mating. All right, so I take this back. I take this piece back. I take this back. Definitely, I do that. Reproduction is necessary. Yeah. Plants do not move, but things move for plants. For pollens do move, but locomotion is not necessary for plants to reproduce. But here is animals. All right. So I was just looking general. Awesome. All right. So let's jump to the next question now, which is question number 34. And question number 34, which is item 34, refers to the following diagram of a flower. And we'll go through the parts. I'm just going to say them right here. Part 1 is the petal, as we know. Part 2 is the anther. And then we have part 3 or structure 3, that will be the ovary, and the ovary contain ovules. And then we have the receptacle at the base right there. We have the sepals, and also attached to the anther, we have the filament. But the question reads though, which of the labeled parts is responsible for the production of male gametes? And that is part 2, which is our structure 2, which is the anther, and the anther produce pollen grains. And please remember that each pollen grain contains 2 sperm cells. All right. Now for 35, it said the best description for the role of excretion in living organisms is to remove metabolic waste. All right, but they didn't say metabolic waste right here, but it's to get rid of toxic waste. So C is correct. And the reason why metabolic waste is used, because metabolic means chemical reactions. So for example, carbon dioxide was produced by a chemical reaction, right? Also urea, for example. Urea is produced by a chemical reaction. That chemical reaction to produce urea is called deamination. It takes place in the liver when excess amino acids are converted to urea. And again, I have a nice lesson on that one. You can check that out as well. Whatever topic that you really need to focus on, yeah, I mean, you can check them out. I have most of them. I'm not going to say all, but most. I try my best. But eventually, I'm going to get there. And I have lessons on every possible thing that exists in the sciences. Now, 36. It said the role of an effector is to do what? And it's to respond to stimuli. All right? That's the role of it. All right? Because effector cells are found in the muscles, and so they will trigger the response. All right? So definitely B is the correct answer right here. Number 37, and 37, we said which of the following diagrams show the correct direction in which a nerve impulse passes through a reflex arc? And this is the only question I've said that is not too familiar based on the papers that I've done so far. But however though, A will be our answer, and I mark an X through them because going to the bicep, it should go down, so B is wrong because of the direction of, well, all the arrows in B, they are incorrect. For C, this arrow here is incorrect, and for D, the arrow right here, the top one, and also the one, the only top one is incorrect. All right, you should be going down rather than going in from the skin into the spinal cord. All right, so anyway, A is the correct option. So you can go through it again to make sure that you see why and make sure you agree with the answers as well. Number 38 is which of the following phrases correctly describes trophic movement in plants? And trophic movements, this is a debate. This question can be debatable. I'm going to tell you because, all right, I'm going to explain before I even mention it. Here, trophic response is a growth response. Growth is a irreversible thing. You cannot reverse growth. However, though, the direction of response can be reversed, right? Because if you rotate the plant, however, though, in a natural environment, the plant cannot be rotated by itself, right? Unless now the stimulus go and shift to a different position, like for example, light. If you respond to light and towards the right, eventually if the light comes to the left, the plant will bend towards the left. But it's not reversible because growth is not reversible. All right, and that's what this is referring to. All right, so I just want to make that clear. Direction can be reversed, but growth is a permanent thing. All right, and so C is the correct option right there. I mean, some person will debate and say, okay, yeah, we're going to go with B because it can reverse. I agree that the direction can be reversed, but the response itself is not a reversible one. All right, in terms of growth. All right, so let's jump to 39. 39 says, which of the following options best describes the term stimulus and response? And a stimulus is something that can be detected in the environment. So any changes within the environment. So we're going to work with our D right here. And again, an organism reaction to the stimulus, definitely so. All right, so 39 is D. And I'm sure I've saw this question before. I can't remember if I did, but it does look familiar. Maybe so much things that I've been through. I can't remember what I did. But anyway, item number 40, which is question number 40, right? Refer to the following diagrams showing an eye response to a stimulus. And you have the before and after. If you notice, the difference between the diagram is the size of the pupil. So before the pupil was dilated and now it was constricted after a while. And they said the response is most likely brought about by what? An increase in light intensity. Because when you have too much light, the pupil will constrict to reduce the amount of light going into the eye. Because do you know that too much light in the eye could damage the structures of the eye? Yes, they can be damaged. All right. It's just like when you have a phone screen and you put the phone in the sun for a long period of time and the phone screen become burnt and you don't see it look so nice again. The same thing happened to your eyes. Yeah. Number 41. I'm going too fast. 41, 41, 41. Right. It's which of the following options correctly defines, identifies it. Right. Yeah. Let me go back over that. Yeah. So which of the following options correctly identifies the structures labeled 1, 2, and 3. And let me slide up to the diagram so you're going to see what's happening here. And so this is the skin. So we look at B, but there's like a thing to this. The skin contains what they call receptor cells, right? And then structure 2 will be our sensory neuron. And then we go, well, Lord Jesus, they're not showing a relay neuron. A relay neuron should be right here. I'm not seeing it. But anyway, that's not important. And then we go to the structure 3, which will be the nerve endings, and nerve endings are connected to what we call effector cells. All right, and so option D is the best answer right here. The receptors, a spinal nerve, because sensory neuron, motor neuron, and relay neuron, they are all spinal nerve, right? And so we go into effector. And a matter of fact, they can also call peripheral nerves as well. All right, the spinal cord and the brain, they're the central nervous system. And attached to the brain and the spinal cord, we have peripheral nerve. That's why we have PNS, peripheral nervous system. And so, yes, the ones that connect to the spinal cord are called spinal nerve as well. All right, 42. The function of the choroid layer in the eye is to do what? And that is to prevent internal reflection. All right. 43. I'm just speeding up through this now because, again, this paper is loaded with familiar questions. Now, item 43 refers to the following graph, which illustrates a measurement of growth in living organisms. And it said, which of the following is incorrect label for the y-axis? And so the y-axis unit of time is incorrect because time is a independent variable, and independent variable goes on the x-axis. Change in mass, change in length, change in number of leaves, yeah, those are y, those are dependent variables. All right, and so let's go to 44. No, we said 44 refers to the activities involved in the menstrual cycle. And this I repeat as well, and it said which of the following sequences is the correct order of activities, and 44 here, you're going to be C. You're going to have first here the development of the Graafian follicle, and while the Graafian follicle is developing as well, what you're going to have also the repairing of the uterine wall going on at similar time or pretty much same time. And then what you're going to have is ovulation going to take place. And then after ovulation, a number of things happen because the wall will become thick and vascularized and that. And then it starts to shed again. So they actually skip out a few little things right here because the wall becomes thick and maintained by progesterone as you know it. However, if the egg is not fertilized, then shedding starts. So the shedding of the uterine wall is indicating that the cycle is going to start over, right? So I choose C as the best answer right there. Now 45. 45. Where is 45? All right, 45. Right there. Now 45 says the following statements describe the processes taking place within a seed during germination. All right, and so we have embryo uses the food develop radical. That must be the last thing. All right, and then enzymes break down the protein into amino acid. And I just want to make a note that is not only protein is being broken down, starch is also broken down into glucose as well. And of course, fats will break down into fatty acid and glycerols. As a matter of fact, all the stored food will be broken down into the simple nutrients that can be absorbable, that can be absorbed. And so moving from complex substances to absorbable substances, that is going to take place in the seed by enzymes, all right? However, though, it's the soluble products move into the embryo that will take place after 2. So the first thing must happen is 2, then 3, then 1, all right? So the food must be available. And then once the food available by the action of enzymes, then they can be absorbed and then they can be used. All right, so option D there is our takeaway guy right there. Now 46, this is the production of new organisms from one parent only is known as what? Without any question, no debate, definitely asexual reproduction. Mitosis is a process that can be used for asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction is a general thing. All right, 47, it said, which of the following form of birth control is most likely to be 100% effective? And that is tubal ligation. All right. Condoms, definitely great, but they can physically damage or break. Diaphragm can shift as well. Birth control pills, depending on, well, birth control pills are really good enough, but timing is also important. But permanently, tubal ligation, 100% effective, definitely. 48, a vector is defined as an organism that does what? And it transmits disease organism. So yeah, D is correct for that. So vector does transmit the disease organism or pathogen. All right, 49. It said 49 row refers to the following diagrams of the flowers from two different types of plants, and just notice the shape of them. The anther hangs out from the anther is hanging out from this one. And this one, the anther will be in the plant itself. It said, which of the following statements is true for the flowers? And let me slide over to so we can see a little bit better. And the option here is A, because 1, pollinated by hummingbirds, and 2 will be pollinated by wind, because of the fact that the anther is hanging out, then definitely will be a wind pollinated flower. All right, number 50, and we're almost there. No, 50 now. It's a 60-year-old man has been diagnosed with hypertension as well as diabetes. It's a, which of the following treatments would be most effective for the diseases? And so let me slide down and let's look properly. I'm doing too much things at the same time. All right. Right. And so A is the correct option right here. So exercising and lowering the intake of salt and refined carbohydrates. Definitely those are direct treatments that could control diabetes and hypertension. Salt is what is affecting hypertension, and the carbohydrates will affect the diabetes or cause diabetes to occur. All right, so 51, let's slide up to that one real quick. All right, so 51. Now, for question number 51, now it said, which of the following best describes a chromosome? And a chromosome, this is a repeat question as well. It's a structure made up of DNA wrapped around histone. And histones, they are proteins, all right? And now, question number 52, it said, as a result of mitosis, each daughter cell has what? And it said the same number of chromosomes as the parent cell. There's no need to be debate about that, because remember, mitosis produces diploid cells, right? And diploid cells will be the exact number of chromosomes and also cell parts compared to the parent cell. So yeah, C is absolutely correct. All right, 53 is which of the following processes will result in genetically identical offspring? And cloning is the correct answer. Mutation create variation differences. Fertilization is sexual reproduction, so definitely go cross from gametes from the male and female parts. And also crossing over, that is very important in sexual reproduction to bring about variation, right? That's when you have genes exchange from one chromosome to another. Now for 54, it's a man with blood group A married a woman with blood group B. They had 2 children. Each blood group AB, it said the allele A and B are described as what? And this is what they call codominant, because they exist together and they show the phenotypes of both. And so that's why it actually called AB blood group, right? B by itself will be B, A by itself will be A, but when they come together, call it AB. So they are codominant. You see both phenotype at the same time, all right? Or both phenotypes can be expressed. Number 55, we said variation in a population is due to what? And notice this is similar to a question we just answered just now, right? So mutation can bring about variation. Definitely crossing over bring about asexual reproduction. Definitely not. So this is a similar question we just answer, but they ask in a different way. All right. Now 56. Now for question number 56, it said, which of the following features is not a characteristic of meiosis? And I didn't answer this one. All right. So not a characteristic of meiosis. And so maintenance of diploid number, which is not true. So this will be our answer before you go any further. It's a recombination of alleles, crossing over of chromosomes, and crossing over takes place definitely. Recombination of alleles definitely. Random assortment of genes definitely. And these are also important for variation as well, if you notice it. So maintain the diploid number is mitosis. So even if you didn't know these, yeah, you're not A is our guy. All right, 47. I will start up top of 47. Now 47 is a Tarzan and Jane, both of whom are heterozygous for blood groups A and B, respectively, can have offspring that are likely to be what? And I work it out real quick because when I say they're heterozygous, it means they're AO and BO, respectively, all right? So this would be our chart right here. So you have 25% AB right there, 25% BO, 25% AO, and doesn't make a note. BO is still B, so they have 25% B right here, not a problem. AO is the same thing as A because O is recessive, right? And then you have 25% O as well. So yes, D is our answer. All right, next question right here. Now, state that which of the following descriptions is true about natural and artificial selection? And I'm sure I've seen this too. All right, and so the answer here is produces great biological diversity. That's natural selection. However, no, for artificial selection, produce very different organisms from natural populations. All right, and a point to note that natural selection occurs in nature, in the environment, due to natural processes and pressure in the environment, or also a change within the environment, and the fittest organism will survive. That means the organism with the trait or characteristic that allows it to survive in that environment or for that change. Artificial selection is done by man, and so man chose the trait that they want to continue to reproduce and continue doing that. And now for 59 now, is a species is best defined as a group of organisms that, and this is a repeat question as well, can interbreed and produce fertile offspring. And even paper 2, we talk about species quite a lot. All right, so that question is supposed to be easy for all of us. Now for question number 60, which is our last question, it said item 60 refers to the following diagram, which shows stage 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the production of insulin by genetic engineering. All right, and also this was a question one of my great students actually pointed out to me on the multiple choice I did, which is 2023, which one of the answers actually talk about the last question talk about genetic engineering, which I think the answer was D, I think. Well, I think the answer was supposed to be C, but anyway, you can look at 2023, you will see that option, but it's come from here, so I made a mistake on that one. You can check it out. All right, and so here now, the question actually reads then, it said, in which of the stages above can insulin be produced by the bacterium? And this again is a repeat question, so definitely stage 4, which is the final stage. Notice is in the bacterium. So it's produced by the bacterium. So that's the recombinant gene must be inside of the bacterium for it to produce the insulin. All right. So this will be the gene that will be reintroduced into the cell by recombination of the genes. All right. And so we're at the final part of the review. And I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I wish you luck on the examinations, and please encourage your friends to come over and subscribe as well. All right. Thank you for being here as always. Talk to you soon. Good luck on the examination. All right. Blessings.